everybody, and welcome back to another Ramblecast, the podcast where we just get into it. Where we just dive in there and get into it. Brad Shoemaker, getting into it? Yeah.
What's it? What is it's it? What is it?
It's an it's it.
What is it? It's it.
It's it.
What is it?
It's it.
You want it all, but you can't have it.
That's for damn sure.
It's in your fist, but you can't grab it.
Oh, tell me about it. Alex Navarro, how are you?
I'm always happy when we kick things off with a nice little Faith No More reference.
Yes.
I met Mike Patton one time. He was very nice.
Was that around the darkness?
Maybe?
I'm trying to think like what would have led us professionally to Mike Patton, and that is what I thought of.
It wasn't really professional. I was at an event in LA, but he just happened to be personal friends with the PR guy running the event and actually just showed up toward the end just to hang out.
Okay, so this was unrelated to one of his voice acting gigs.
Yes. Gosh, I'm trying to remember who that PR guy was.
Mr. Bungle.
But he was definitely like LA. He was you have to be pretty LA to be friends with Mike Patton, I think.
It helps.
Mike Patton, Faith No More, Epic.
Mr. Bungle.
Mr. Bungle.
God, he doesn't he have like 8 different bands?
Fantomas, I think, is also one of his bands.
Yes.
Is he still working?
I don't know.
Mr. Bungle got back together not that long ago and toured, I want to say, sometime in the last few years.
Okay.
Tomahawk and Dead Cross are 2 other bands that he is part of. He also has been part of Peeping Tom, Lovage, Kada Patton, Hemophiliac, and Nevermen.
Okay, if I'm remembering correctly, I think Tomahawk was something that involved Maynard James Keenan. Okay. Lovage was a Dan the Automator project.
Okay.
I'm not so sure about the other ones.
Correct on Lovage. I don't think... No, Maynard doesn't have anything to do with...
Okay.
Tomahawk is like...
Must be thinking of something else.
Tomahawk is people I've never heard of.
Okay.
Dwayne Dennison. Let's see.
Wait, John Stanier?
John Stanier, yeah.
Okay, that's the drummer from
Helmet. Oh, wow, yeah. Okay, drummer from Helmet. Dwayne Dennison was in the Jesus Lizard.
John Stanier is one of the drummers I would cite as a drummer that had a huge influence on me.
Interesting. Okay.
Helmet is a band that I have like a weirdly high amount of affection for, relative to their popularity.
That's oh gosh, what is her name's band? Was that not? Gosh, I want to say her name without having to say the person who was married to Kurt Cobain.
First of all, there are no women in Helmet.
Oh, there aren't. Okay.
No, you're thinking of Hole.
I'm thinking of Hole. Okay.
Very different band.
Very different.
Very different band. Okay, maybe I haven't heard much Helmet then.
Helmet is kind of like a progenitor of sort of like the alternative metal.
Yeah,
like they kind of spawned out of the grunge thing and then into their own thing.
If you were in the like 120 minutes type scene, you might have seen their video for Unsung on MTV at some point.
I'd have to look it up.
They were also one of those staple bands of like 90s movie soundtracks. They were on probably like a half dozen of them over time.
Do they have an umlaut over their U?
Don't
no.
think so.
Okay, then forget it.
Also, there's no U. It's just
Helmet.
It's
not a U. It's just spelled helmet like normal.
Oh, it's not Helmut?
No.
Oh, okay. Boy, then I'm really just...
You're thinking of Helmut Kruger, which is a different thing.
You're
always thinking about Helmut
Kruger. And Hole, I guess, apparently.
Yeah.
All right, we are too far?
We're
in the
rambling.
Weeds? Yeah, we are definitely rambling. How was your guys' weekends? Anything fun to share from this weekend?
I hooked up my Steam Link finally after like 5 years.
Hey, good on ya.
Should I dig into? I could probably pull up the receipt for that thing and tell you exactly when I bought it.
Okay.
That's not interesting, right?
2011.
I should not. No. I bought it for like $12, actually, I think.
Okay, you bought it when they were having the fire sale.
2012.
Apparently they got even cheaper, which...
I think I spent $5 on mine.
I think I spent $5 on mine as well, which I've never hooked up.
Okay, so I have in fact found the receipt. 2017.
Okay.
I've had this thing for about 5.5 years and never did anything with it. Yeah, I paid $4.99, but shipping made it $12.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
So we all got them at the same time, it sounds like.
Well, I had mine. I had one before, and then I bought like 2 more as they went on sale.
I should have done that for how cheap they were. That seems... Of course, now they have the Steam Link app that you can run on a bunch of stuff anyway.
I did have
Apparently-
one break at one point, or just crap out. So
Okay.
I was glad to have a backup.
Yeah, they're getting kind of outdated because it only does 1080p and it also can't do
I think it's.
H.265.
I think it
and I think
caps
they
out at
might-
30.
They might not, yes. And or you can raise it, but it says like will increase latency if you set the bandwidth to unlimited.
Oh, really? I
Um,
think I might have a hard cap somewhere on the hardware.
So they've been updating it again. I just set it up yesterday. It basically, in the settings, it says bandwidth limit. The highest, like, rigid limit is 30, but then you can go to unlimited.
You can. Okay, because when I try to
set it
do
up.
Moonlight, maybe I have to go into the hardware of the Steam Link. When I try to do Moonlight, I can't get over 30. And people are saying it's a limit in the Steam Link hardware.
Huh.
But I should try it. I should see. So what'd you think?
It's okay.
Okay.
It seemed I was very excited about it until I actually started trying to play games.
Okay. What happened?
And then I kind of had issues with most of the games that I tried to play for one reason or another. I don't
Just
know.
like lag or
No, like a couple of them booted to a black screen where
Oh.
I could still hear it, and I could even hear myself moving the menu around, but there was no image. And I had to come in here and close the game on the PC.
And
Um,
these are Steam native games?
yeah, like that was Grow Home,
Okay.
and I forget what else had an issue like that. There were a couple other issues I was having. I'm trying to remember.
I like that Grow Home is just like a go-to game for you.
Yeah, it's still installed. You know?
Yeah. That's a good game.
Gosh, what else? I had like phantom mouse input at one point. Oh, like it keeps popping the mouse cursor up constantly.
Huh.
Like even when I'm playing games, I just have a floating mouse cursor in the way all the time.
You can do, if you hold back, you can tell it to push the mouse off the screen.
Okay, I should do that.
Yeah, there's, I think that's still in, gosh, because they changed their interface now that it's Steam Deck interface. But I assume if you hold the back button, it still brings up that shortcut menu.
And then I've been using a DualShock 4,
Mm-hmm.
and at one point it was just taking phantom mouse input out of nowhere very slowly.
Oh,
Like the mouse was just constantly moving
drifting?
to the right, just extremely slowly.
interesting.
I turned off. That was in Doom 2016, and so I'm getting used to the whole thing. Like this whole like controller profile thing is weird. Where
It's kind of cool, but it is
game,
kind of a lot.
yeah, like every game defaults to a profile, and that has different things enabled depending on the game. So Doom has both gyro mouse and touchpad mouse for DualShocks enabled out of the box.
Okay.
So I turned both of those off, and then the drift went away, but I'm not sure which one was causing it.
Did you try the Steam controller? You have one of those too, right?
I do. I didn't hook that one up yet. I love that thing. I mean, it's okay. I get why the touchpads are useful, but
it's got its uses.
I like a DualShock. And then I've just been like trying to see if there's jitter or not. Like it's kind of hard to tell like what's the game hitching and what's the streaming hitching.
Mm-hmm.
It seems pretty good. I was getting the little like network congestion icon popping here and there.
You were doing it over wired?
Yeah.
I get that sometimes even over my wired, but if I leave and come back into a game, it'll sometimes go away. Like I don't know what handshaking it's doing, but it feels like it doesn't have a good grip sometimes.
I will say that like all the issues I had were like esoteric, but the core of it was better than I expected because like basically just video quality and latency, like the two things you worry about with streaming, right? It's like I set this to 30 megabit and I kind of can't tell this is a compressed video. This kind of just looks like the game. And also like no control latency to speak of either. It's like
right.
If I can iron out the weird little stuff with like random games not working and stuff, it actually seems like totally usable.
I really like mine. I sometimes feel like I notice it if I've mostly played a game on the Steam Link and then I finally go and play it on the PC. Like if I primarily played on the Steam Link and then when I'm on the PC natively, like, oh, this does look better on this thing. But a lot of the games I choose to play on the Steam Link are, a lot of point and click stuff, a lot of clicky, and that's when I use the Steam controller. Otherwise, I'll usually get like an adventure or action game on a console, or I'll try to lean towards a console if they have it. And if it's a first-person shooter on the PC, unless it has native controller support, I'll probably just play with the mouse. Like I don't even want to mess around. But native controller support is in so many first-person shooters on the PC.
Yeah,
you really don't find that many that don't have it.
It seems like you could just like slap a controller profile onto games that have 0 controller support. Does that work well?
It works really well. I mean, that's where I think the Steam controller really shines is in situations like that don't have native mappings for controllers. You can do a lot with that controller where you can set the right trackpad to be a mouse and set a lot of functionality in it for speed and for sway and whatever. And then there's the lower left trackpad you can set to a bunch of macros and kind of like, oh, this is going to be, control 1 for group select or, setting groups, or you can hold it down. It's going to give you a radial menu. There's a lot of really interesting programming you could do for the controller.
Now, here's my real question.
Yeah.
Have you switched entirely over to Moonlight? Because I haven't messed with Moonlight yet. I've only been doing the native like Steam client streaming.
Yeah. So I find Moonlight just clunky enough where I mostly use it for stuff that I have on the Epic Store or Windows Store, and I'll still use the stuff native in the Steam interface for Steam stuff. The Steam interface is pretty slick. Even with the Steam Deck update, I still like it, even though it is kind of forced some weird things into that Steam Link interface that are like, this doesn't apply to me, man. This is definitely made for a touchscreen.
No, it applies to me.
That's right. But it still looks nice, and you can navigate around in it pretty easily. Moonlight's a little bit more like functionality first, UI second.
Oh, sure.
Like,
yeah.
Here's a big list of things. And like, if you pull up a menu, it's kind of like a Yahoo search results page. Like, you're just going to get text on here that sometimes scrolls. And if you don't remember the button combination to get out of here, you're kind of boned. So it's a little like that.
Yeah. A little bare bones, grassroots.
Yeah, like you're connecting to sessions of games and then disconnecting and then closing a game. But Moonlight works very well and has good controller hooks to get stuff to work. But I'll mostly just shortcut into the Steam Link itself if the game is in Steam. So,
okay.
I've tried, and especially since I get that data cap or transfer cap anyway, it's like I would use Moonlight if I could go up to 60 or something, but I'm never able to get there. And as soon as I put it there, Moonlight really does not like it. And I don't think it's my network. I think it's the device. I should try Moonlight on some other device like that. If they have it, like the what is it? The Chromecast? What came with my
Stadia?
Stadia?
Yes, that is a Chromecast.
I wonder if I assume Moonlight would work on that thing.
God, are we already forgetting the name of Stadia? Is it already fading from memory that fast?
Yeah, listen. I got the
yes, it is. You're right.
I got the refund for it, so I no longer even. It doesn't even exist anymore.
It's not even the back of your mind anymore.
I wonder how outdated that Chromecast I have is. I don't know. I never was in that ecosystem, and I got it, and I never even used it. And I think maybe I hooked it up.
Did they ever even update the Chromecasts that came with the kit to work with Stadia?
Well,
it was a Chromecast Ultra. I started to say that I thought that it was an Ultra, and it appears to be the case.
I think that thing worked with Stadia, the one that came with it.
The one that they shipped with the kits, apparently, like out of the box, did not have the Stadia software on them, but I assume they got updated at some point.
I think so.
Does Steam Link run on a Chromecast? Is that what you were saying?
Well, Moonlight.
Oh, Moonlight.
Yeah, Moonlight is what I would throw in there.
I mean, I think I was reading that like a lot of TVs can just install the Steam Link app directly now.
I haven't tried that. I haven't seen it on the LG TV, so I'm not sure if it's there or not. I would hope that those TVs also don't have data transfer caps on them somewhere in hardware, some throttling.
Yeah, you never know what weird stuff you're going to get there. Like,
yeah,
super random example that comes to mind, like the Raspberry Pi 3, the Ethernet port was basically attached through the USB bus. So it actually, even though it was a gigabit Ethernet port, it was limited to like 400 megabits or something.
Like just couldn't transfer.
Just because of the way it was wired into the board.
I want to say
you never. God only knows what's going on inside a lot of smart TVs.
Totally. Yes, I want to say Plex is able to pull pretty high bitrate stuff without complaining. So hopefully there's nothing in there.
Unless you attach subtitles, then it breaks everything.
So if you try to not burn in subtitles, then it becomes a slideshow. But what are you gonna do? What you gonna do? I'm glad you tried out the Steam Link. I think it's pretty cool. I get closer and closer to the closer I get to a Steam Deck, the more anxious I get that I'm going to purchase a Steam Deck and then they're immediately going to announce a revision 2 in the works. And I'm going to be like, so
I think that's a good ways off.
But I, this whole setup I have is eventually going to make its way to my detached garage. And I'm definitely not going to want to haul my butt out there at night to go play a game. So I think the Steam Deck would be a good way for me to, at the very least, stream some things from my main gaming PC. I also was talking to my little brother who works not post-production, works at IT infrastructure stuff for HBO. And it was like, what is it on the workstations? I was like, what are you guys using to split up those NVIDIA cards and stuff for those workstations? And he's like, oh, it's I think what did he say? NVIDIA Grid, and then you get those like grid cards that I think it's one card that's carved up into different slices for workstations. And then I started looking that up to be like, I want to do that. I just want to have like holy cow! Like you're paying for the license for the grid software and the card, at some point.
That is
not
that
quite
is for,
where I am.
That pricing is for large corporations.
Yes, that is not.
We need probably about 19,997 more employees before that kind of pricing makes sense.
Yeah, it was.
I assume we're talking in the 5-figure range.
For the licensing, it's one of those. Call us.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, that is definitely in the 5-figure range.
Hey, what are you interested in this? Call our business contact.
At least that's what we can negotiate.
Yeah.
They just not to make this tech talk for the whole hour. They just uncapped or raised the limit of concurrent encodes on GeForce cards for the NVIDIA encoder stuff. Like
across
the thing people were hacking. The thing that people were hacking the drivers for to raise the number of simultaneous encodes. They just lifted that limit themselves.
Is it unlimited or they?
I think it's 5 concurrent now.
Is it? Do you know if that applies to the 2,000, 3,000, and
everything?
4,000?
I mean, I think it's whatever the card can handle. I believe.
Okay, yeah, that was a weird one. That was a weird cap for folks that don't know. The kind of assisted encoding on the card was limited to, I want to say, the 2000 series to 1 encode and a couple of decodes, or maybe this was reverse. But it was kind of there was a whole table you could look up and see what the encodes were, and then they had unlocked cards that were their more enterprise cards. But people had made drivers to unlock those things.
They'd found their way to it.
Like, yeah. It's just, you take the card out and you use a pencil to connect 2 transistors. You're good. It'll work. Are cards okay now? Are cards
price wise?
For encoding?
No, like for availability and like.
They're kind of out there.
Yeah.
I mean,
We have them.
Yeah.
I am kind of just about done specking out this PC, but I certainly have been looking at a whole lot of what is in stock where.
Yeah.
You are not going to buy a Founders Edition card no matter what you do.
That's the big one, right?
Well, it's the NVIDIA made one.
Oh, I see. Okay. It's
the one made by NVIDIA,
okay.
And I don't know. I don't think there's necessarily a reason to go for that one.
And AMD's new cards are out there?
Yeah, they've been out for a few months.
Okay.
Well, it's, excuse me, everybody is a staggered launch these days. It's like those super high-end flagship cards go first, and then
gotcha.
Or mid-range and budget cards trickle out over the subsequent months.
Trickling cards. I love it. Welcome to the world of the Steam Link. Enjoy your time.
Thank you.
It's a great little device.
Yes, I set up the Steam Link and also the Stream Deck, but no Steam Deck. Stream
Deck. Oh, the Stream Deck, the Roku.
I'm now
sorry.
No,
sorry.
The Elgato.
Elgato.
I can't quite. The cord's not quite long enough to hold it up to the camera. But
yeah,
I've got everything but a Steam Deck over here. Steam Link, Stream Deck. No Steam Deck.
How are you enjoying your Stream Deck?
Stream Deck's pretty awesome.
Have you programmed some very fun stuff?
Yeah, I'm getting there. I'm looking at it right now. I can switch all the inputs on both of these monitors with buttons on here, which is incredible. I can set my active sound output device in Windows.
Okay.
Which is very good.
So for folks that don't know, the Stream Deck is basically Elgato's little push-button controller that comes with software that hooks into a lot of stuff. Not everything, but people write third-party hooks for the software. Alex Navarro is holding his up.
Alex has one too.
Our lovely spokesmodel.
Yeah, that's what I use on vMix.
Call me a lovely spokesmodel.
You are the loveliest of spokesmodels.
Thank you.
But yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff on there, and you can do multiple pages of things, which I find pretty fun.
Yeah, I've got OBS functions on here, stream and record and transition scene, and then I made a folder for scenes to go through.
Yeah.
I think I'm mostly going to use it for hardware functions, though. I'm staring at it right now. I've just been like brainstorming. Like you can hook it into, I've got this Elgato key light. You can like adjust brightness and color temperature from this thing on that. So I could just like turn, because otherwise I have to like stand up in the middle of a stream to reach the controls on that thing, but I could just put them on buttons on this thing. When I start running this XLR audio interface into my PC, there's no hardware mute button on this stuff, but I can just rig Windows up to mute that device on a button in this thing. So I'm going to be able to put a microphone mute button on this thing. I'm just going to have to trust that the software is actually working every time I press mute.
So if you push that button, what will it be muting at the OS level? The mic input?
It's muting the input device in Windows.
Okay. It's fun. Make life easier.
Yeah. It's pretty cool.
Until that thing breaks, and then you're like, it muted me on a recording. Half was muted, half was not.
I'm kind of surprised they haven't done a wireless one of these yet.
Oh, like over Bluetooth? Or its own wireless controller?
Or some dongle or something. It's probably a battery life thing, like you just want it to be reliable.
Yeah, I would.
You don't want the battery dying halfway through a stream or whatever.
Totally.
The Stream Deck was one of those things that I got when we first started moving to work from home during the pandemic, because I was like, okay, I need something to control, like, say, when I'm doing these drum streams and I'm not near my keyboard, I need something that I can switch the scenes, mess things around with that. And I did that, and it worked great for it, and then I have just not used it since. And now I'm like, it's staring at me. It's been sitting on this desk ever since, and it's just like, use me, program me, come up with some buttons. I can make funny little icons for you.
I think it's one of those things that's seems intimidating until you're in it, and then making a couple of, like, once you make like 3 or 4
it's actually really
buttons,
easy once you start messing in the interface.
It's not so bad, and then I feel like you just start going down rabbit holes of like, what else could I do with this thing?
I went and found a plugin that just lets you run an arbitrary command line on any button.
There you go.
And so anything you can do from a command prompt you can just put on there now.
That's right. I just I push one button and it just beats Elden Ring. It's with one command.
There has to be a video out there of somebody beating Elden Ring on a Stream Deck, right?
There are videos of people like hooking it up for like flight sim and things like Kerbal and all sorts of, because it could just act as a keyboard input too, or macros.
Yeah, it can just be buttons if you want it to be buttons.
Look, it's not anything too super special, super duper. I'm not trying to say.
No, it's just it's a slick little interface that they made.
It's pretty slick. It's priced at the kind of Elgato premium price for kind of what it does. But it
Elgato tax.
You pay a little of that Elgato tax, but I also have like a little MIDI controller that can do a lot of these things too with the but this kind of replaced it because
like they've got a foot pedal out now, and I don't know what the price is on that foot pedal, but I bet it's a lot.
I remember looking it up. Yeah.
You can get excuse me, you can get USB foot pedals for like $20.
You could probably just hook up like one of those fucking Rock Band kick pedal things and get roughly the same effect.
Did you see, Alex, not to transition too far off the lane here, but people were posting about homebrew alternatives to that what is it? It's not the drum head, it's the Logic device?
No, it's the adapter that lets you play with your old drum equipment, or basically your old wired equipment from previous platforms on the current Xbox and PlayStation. I think it's mostly for Xbox, because Xbox is the one that like tends to wall their garden the hardest as far as like what controller tech what works with which platform. I want to say the PlayStation stuff was a little more open than that, but the one that it was PvP that made it. The one that was out there that they put out, they did it in a limited fashion. And it, they sold it for not a lot of money. It was like $40 or $50 or something. And then the post release, once all those sold out, they started going for like $1,000 on eBay or whatever, because people bought a bunch and then hoarded them. But yes, there are homebrew solutions out there that some people have developed. I have not messed with any of them or looked into them because my adapter still works and I bought mine at retail. But if that thing ever breaks, I'm glad to know that there are some solutions out there that do not require me to pay fucking $1,000 for a little plastic dongle.
I want to say it's an Arduino solution with kind of an input shield that can map whatever's coming in to whatever needs to go out. But is that also the thing you need to get into your drum brain?
Yes.
Thing? Okay.
Because the drum brain thing was built for the 360.
Okay. Got it.
It was built for that hardware, and so it looks for that handshake when it is doing its dirty business. Okay. And again, the real thing here is that at any point, if Microsoft really wanted to, they could just turn on support for some of those older controllers on the newer platforms if they were invested or gave a shit about that, but they don't.
It probably would take a decent amount of work.
It's not nothing. I'm not saying it's nothing.
Yeah,
but
I'm getting it's probably more than just like flipping a switch, but
you know, they're not like they would just have to make it so 360 hardware worked on current platforms.
So does so there is no Rock Band on a Series X?
No.
Okay.
There was the last gen Rock Band 4 Rivals was the last release for it, and that is officially still like Xbox One, PS4.
Okay. Okay. Good to know.
They're never going to make another one of those.
Who owns
Epic.
Epic. So never say never. Epic's
no, I'm saying never
And
specifically because of that.
I also will say never.
Are there any products on their product timeline for
no
Harmonix?
No, they're just doing
like Fortnite support
at this point.
And Rock Band DLC. Like they're continuing that trickle and that's
whoever they've got in a closet somewhere.
Okay.
Doing that stuff.
I mean, look, they're still putting songs out. They put out goddamn Letters to Cleo a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about 90s alternative shit. Here you go. They put out the fucking Friends theme song as part of that pack.
What are you going... Okay. I don't know if the weight of this stresses you out, but like... what the hell are you going to do when they decide to close that store to honor, usually we'll do a stream of like end of an MMO or we'll do a stream, they're closing down these servers. Are you just going to play every song that was ever...
3,000 fucking songs. Let's go.
Oh, man.
We'll be here for 2.5 weeks.
For folks that know, Alex's Xbox...
I don't own every song, but I own quite a huge portion of them.
Alex's Xbox is the worst machine in the world to turn on because I think it has to index all of that stuff sometimes in such a way that it's just kind of like thousands of files.
Buy like 5 or 6 used Xboxes and just go alphabetically. Like this Xbox has A through E DLC on it.
I've thought about just shifting all of that stuff over to the external plug-in drive and see if that helps at all.
That's going to be worse.
It probably is the thing. So I don't know. Like at a certain point, I just kind of embrace it. Like I understand I'm the edgiest of edge cases. Like this is not a thing that anyone is QAing for because who is this much of an idiot? But it's fun when I boot up my Xbox and sometimes it takes an upwards of a minute for any app to load because it's trying to figure out everything that's on the hard drive.
I remember anytime I would get to talk to somebody at PlayStation or Xbox who was in some kind of platform capacity, like both complaining to them, but also feeling like an asshole for doing it about like, hey, I own a lot of games on here, and boy, does it take forever to be able to parse all those. Like, you guys thought about the edge case of people? This is like straight up a Games Press problem. Like, I own like 800 games on here. Is there anything you can do to maybe make this? I don't know.
Buy fewer games. All those thumbnails have to load in.
That was kind of it, It's like, don't you want people to be able to buy a ton of games? I don't know.
I'll say the PlayStation, current PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X are pretty good, pretty snappy still. UI still, still snappy. I haven't gotten a lot of bogged down. Let me put
it this way: the Series X is better at loading that stuff than the One X was.
Oh yeah, it's way better now. PS5 also not terrible.
Not terrible. That's probably one of my biggest technology pet peeves is OS slowdown over like the course of years. The TV I have has it now. Forget about an iPad. Like I feel like an iPad.
Everything gets top heavy.
Oh my gosh, iPads after like 2 or 3 years feel like they become, I don't know, useless.
I also have a very old iPad that I have been terrified to even try to boot up and see what happens.
I have a pretty old iPad, and it's one of those things when you type, it takes like a half a second for the letter to. It's so annoying. But I kind of refuse to get a new one because I don't do anything on it except check like some. I pull up guitar tabs on it in my room when I'm playing guitar, or check the news or something, and then just keep it plugged in. I'm not like I'm playing games on that thing. That one particular.
Yeah, what games could you play on it anymore? Fucking solitaire apps probably still need like iOS 16 at this point.
I don't know, man. Even my D&D app broke on it because it couldn't update to the latest OS. Just kind of a bummer. Just aging. Everything gets old. Entropy just goes slows down.
Like us, for instance.
That's slowing down.
Stop.
I've now reached that fun age where little minor injuries that I think are like no big deal in the moment suddenly balloon into, oh wow, that's way worse than I thought it was. This weekend I was just doing something in the kitchen and I swung my arm around and I banged my knuckle into the edge of our kitchen table.
Ouch.
Which at the moment was like, ow.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, ow, that sucked. Why? Oh god, that's no fun at all. And then about an hour later, I don't know if this is going to read on camera. If you can see my index finger, how much darker it is than the other fingers. It may not. The lighting may not quite.
A little bit. I can see it a little bit.
You can maybe see the like slight, like the little light spot there. That's where it actually hit. I had to put an ice pack on it because my whole finger swelled up like crazy. And then after that went down, now it's stiff. Like it's hard for me to kind of pull it all the way down. But I think it's fine. I didn't break anything.
Okay.
It's just a really deep bruise. But boy, in the moment, it didn't feel that bad. And then like, a few minutes later, it's like, oh God, what happened to my hand? Fuck.
Brad, after you, I think we talked about it on the Q&A. I feel like I'm ready to never sit in a chair again. I'm just, I'm going to stand my whole life.
Deliver.
Stand and deliver every piece of content. I don't want to sit and have my muscles get stretched out or not stretched out or whatever's happening.
I think my muscles are too far gone.
Lengthening glutes.
I don't want lengthening glutes. I want to stand.
If you're gonna stand, instead of a standing desk, could we get you like a podium? So it's more like you're like an orator when you're doing your podcasts.
I think Daniel Dwyer would stand when he would do the podcast. Rich Gallup would stand when he would do the podcast.
I think that was an energy thing, though, right?
I think it was, energy or presence, or I see it though. I would probably need two workstations, not the. At the CBS, I had the kind of collapsible standing desk that I used, the one that would go up and down.
The one that would kind of go up and down.
Yeah. I use that, and that worked fairly well. But I think at home, I'd probably just need two stations, one for when I need to sit to do mouse and keyboard stuff more comfortably, and one for just standing when I'm, sitting there doing emails or spreadsheets and all of those things that are like, this doesn't take too much. It takes a while. I remember it taking a while at CBS to get used to the standing. Like I would just get tired of standing for a while and then have to sit. But after a few weeks, it kind of worked.
Yeah, I've tried standing situations before. It helps a little bit, but I don't think it really solves the problem, which is that anytime I sit down, after a while, like my shoulder and neck start going a little wonky, and the standing stuff is good, but also I'm a terrible sloucher. So I also have to sit there and think about my posture when I'm standing up because it doesn't really help. I'm still kind of slouching while I'm standing, and that's not fixing the problem.
You got to put a pole right behind you and then just make sure, put a magnet on the back of your head and your fifth vertebrae and just snap into it.
Well, so when I went and got the diagnosis a while ago, like some years ago, of the doctor who said I have thoracic outlet for my thing. It's like his specialty. His whole thing is that he developed this special vest for people who have this condition where you're supposed to wear it under your clothes, and it's like a posture correcting, like it kind of keeps everything in place the way it's supposed to be, so that you're not putting pressure on the thoracic outlet, which is causing all the pain and the stress in your body. And also he charges an arm and a leg for that thing.
Of course, yes.
And of course, in the ensuing years, people have come up with their own version of that, which is to say, like, these kind of like over-the-shoulder strap things that you can buy on Amazon for like $30 or whatever.
All right, here we go. Open source medical gear.
Uh-huh.
Well, so my stepdad got me one and he was like, here, just try this. Maybe it's not the same thing. Maybe it doesn't work, but you know, maybe it'll help. It helped.
It did.
Like when I do wear it, it does help. It keeps my shoulders back. It keeps my neck up. And so it keeps the pressure off the stuff that needs to not have pressure on it. The problem is it's just a little bit uncomfortable to wear, so I don't want to wear it all the time. But when I'm just sitting here doing with you know, I don't have to be on camera or I don't have to like, you know, present myself in any way. And if my back is hurting, I can just slap that thing on for a little while and it helps. Kind of stretches everything out.
Can we just embrace the like Wall-E universe, live in the chair, and just scoot ourselves around everywhere?
I don't know. That movie's kind of judgy about that whole universe and that whole thing.
I don't know. It seemed to work. I looked at it and it was like, oh, it looks real comfortable, man.
Yeah. I want a hover chair.
I want a hover chair and a robot that picks up my trash. That's it'll be okay. It's okay. We'll go out and I'll go out and look for another planet. It's all right. Yeah, I'll get there eventually.
I would, if not a hover chair, I would settle for a battle wheelchair that turns into a mech suit like Gong Gong has in Everything Everywhere All at Once.
That thing's pretty good. Pretty good. Go check out the Watchcast.
Yeah.
Up soon? Yeah, at the time of this.
Well, as of the time we were recording, it will definitely be up, but I'm also almost done with it, so it'll probably be up after we're done recording this.
You know, speaking of movies, I watched The Burbs again.
Oh, wow. I haven't seen that movie in ages.
Yeah, man. The Burbs. That movie.
I always get The Burbs and The Money Pit confused. They are not super dissimilar movies.
Well,
but
it's both Tom Hanks, but The Burbs is all right.
I remember The Money Pit not being as good.
What? Money Pit? I haven't seen The Money Pit in a while, but
I remember Burbs being all right.
The Burbs is all right. It's very goofy. It's even goofier than I remember. It's a goofy comedy. And you know what? Tom Hanks, you're all right. You're okay. I enjoy.
Wow. Bold statements being made here.
I think I enjoy a young bosom buddies-esque Tom Hanks to his kind of more post-Forrest Gump, like, hey, we can cast a very serious role, Tom Hanks.
I like Serious Hanks. Don't get me wrong. I'm pro Serious Hanks. But yes, there is a certain chucklehead quality that I feel like was lost as soon as he pivoted off of the Drags Net and the Joes versus Latinos and what have you.
There was like a manic quality sometimes to his acting where he would just get kind of wound up, and I feel like that transitioned away.
Yeah, I think he was probably burnt out on that stuff or didn't want to be pigeonholed as that guy his whole career. I think wasn't Philadelphia like his first big breakout dramatic?
Ooh.
That was definitely the one that like put him on the dramatic map.
Yeah, I remember. Did he win an Oscar for that?
I think he may have, yes.
Or that I remember
he was certainly
that,
nominated, if I remember correctly.
Yes. I have this distinct memory of like that being kind of a big deal because it's like, oh my god. Well, that's kind of true of everybody, right? Like Adam Sandler is the same way. It's like when some big goofball cut up suddenly turns in like this amazing dramatic performance. Everybody's like, holy shit.
Well, it doesn't always work. I mean, you know, there are definitely plenty of comedians who have tried to pivot into doing dramatic stuff and it just hasn't played well. But, you know, when it does work, like I think it is always kind of like, oh, wow, I can't believe they had that gear. I didn't know they had that.
When was a Castaway, the one where he's alone
Wilson,
on
yes.
That's post Philadelphia, pre Forrest Gump?
That's
like
way
at least
later.
a decade later.
Okay. And that's pre Forrest Gump, or is that after?
But Forrest Gump was 94.
Oh,
Philadelphia was like 93, 92.
93 for Philadelphia, 94 for Forrest Gump.
Okay.
Castaway was 2000.
Oh wow. Okay. I feel like the hits kind of kept coming for Tom Hanks in a way that pushed him far. Well, how about You've Got Mail? When was that?
That was in the 90s. Like that was kind of he was alternating between dramatic and rom-com stuff.
Okay.
98. Wait. Oh my god. This is embarrassing. I started to say, wait a minute. He was in Saving Private Ryan, and then I looked at the poster. I was like, oh right. He was the above the fold top of the marquee actor in Saving Private Ryan. Boy, have I not seen that movie since it came out.
I've never seen it.
Really?
Yeah. Is it good?
It's
Oh yes.
Okay. Okay,
Yes,
yeah.
it's quite good. I don't want to just like regurgitate the sort of press or hype it was getting at the time.
It was
like that,
really
that
hyped up.
opening. That Omaha Beach opening sequence is like kind of a lot.
So I've seen that. I've seen clips of that because that was a huge thing at the time too. With
like that was again some amount of marketing hype probably, but that was full on like, hey, like Normandy veterans are having a hard time watching this opening sequence because it's like traumatized or it's too traumatizing to see it.
And I feel like that set the tone. I know of that too because I even for video games that set the tone of like World War II games for so long, where you got to have that Normandy sequence, and it's got to be as soon
Call
as
of Duty exists, I think, largely because of that scene.
Well,
oh yeah, he was involved with, wasn't he? No, maybe it was just Spielberg that was involved in Medal of Honor because like Call of Duty only exists because Medal of Honor exists, right?
Right.
And I can't remember if Tom Hanks had anything to do with Medal of Honor, or it might have just been Spielberg.
I don't know whether it's people puking in the boats because I don't remember much of Saving Private Ryan, but here are the things I could tell you that are probably from a cultural osmosis in that opening scene. People puking in the boats, the door opening and people immediately getting gunned down in the landing boats, mass confusion on the battlefield, and does Private Ryan have the like shell shock kind of
the weird ringing sound while a person kind of wanders around looking for their lost limb.
I don't think he's in that opening sequence. He doesn't come in until later.
Who's that?
Private Ryan.
I just meant this is what I
the movie.
This is what I gather is in the movie based on all the things that have claimed kind of a lineage or provenance from there. I
mean, that movie is notable for three specific things. One, that incredible opening. Two, just kind of being, I think, like one of the best rendered visions of what life on the ground in that whole era of World War II was. And three, just being an endless parade of guys showing up in for like one or two scene bits in that movie.
Yes. Like when Tom Sizemore passed recently, I was reminded that he was in that. There's like a ton of people are in that were not huge at the time, right?
Like Vin Diesel, Paul Giamatti is in there. Ted Danson just wanders in for a half second.
There was somebody just recently that I never knew.
Nathan Fillion has like a one scene bit.
Sure. There was somebody else recently that like is huge now that is in there that I like. Bryan Cranston apparently is in it. Ted Danson?
Yes, Ted Danson is there for a second.
Is Matt Damon in it?
Yes.
He's Private Ryan.
He is Private Ryan.
Wait, is he the one is that gif of him getting old? Is that from?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Again,
the other thing I remember from that movie is that extremely gutting like knife kill sequence toward the end. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, the part
Alex?
with I know which part. The part with his first name's Adam. I can't remember his last name. But yes.
Yeah. Adam Goldberg, maybe.
Yeah.
But yes, you'll know it when you see it. It's a lot of difficult to watch stuff in that movie.
It's definitely like one of Spielberg's most like kind of in your face, like this is some fucked up imagery movies. Like that's not a thing he does a great deal of throughout his career, but I feel like he was just, and it's not wallowing in it. Like I don't think it's like doing it for, to be edgy or to like really, jar the audience so much as just like, this is what feels authentic to what this, this wartime experience was like. And it's effective. Like it's incredibly effective in a way that I feel like a lot of other war movies just are not.
Gross.
It is gross and it is violent and it is deeply unpleasant, but I think it's for what is a fairly like Hollywoody kind of story, kind of at the center of the whole thing. Like the actual war stuff does not get the short shrift in it. Like it feels like it is still a huge factor in what is going on in these characters' lives.
And it's not sanitized, clearly.
No.
Tom Hanks. Is he like a general? Or is he a commander?
He's a captain, right?
He's like the head of this unit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's going out there. He's on the field.
Yeah.
Okay. The premise is that there's, should I say, it's not like
I think it's like somebody's missing, right? And they're going to go get him.
Well, it's more than that. It's that there is a family who has 5 sons of age.
It's 4 brothers.
Is it 4?
I remember this. And they've all died.
Yeah. Three of
them have died.
3 of the 4 have been killed in action, and the 4th is in Europe. And the military is like, hey, this is going to be a bad public relations situation if this entire family's, children
lineage dies
if
entirely.
the entire lineage of this family is wiped out by this war, we have got to go in and get that last guy out.
And he's deployed. He's like in combat.
Yeah, he's a paratrooper.
Okay. So he's not captured.
No.
Okay, he's just on the field
But
somewhere.
the thing, I mean, look, this isn't spoiling anything of it. We should do this movie at some point, probably for the Watchcast. But the thing that happens to him is the thing that happens to a lot of people that were, in the part of that early invasion is that they kind of got scattered to the wind. Whatever unit they were a part of or whatever their mission was, they kind of floated it out of where they were supposed to be, and they were just kind of trying to regroup and find a useful spot to be in.
Couldn't call his cell phone.
No, not at that point.
No service.
Yeah. World War II, I mean, honestly, like, would it have even happened if we had cell phones?
Alex asking the tough question.
Could that war have even happened the way it did? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Not going to follow up on that.
Just,
What if Adolf Hitler had iPad?
What if?
There's
your meme. Every Ramblecast has one. He was an artist, right? Maybe he would have found a calling somewhere else aside from mass.
What if he had learned to code?
All right. I'm gonna switch gears from that fun thought experiment, let's say, and just go back to say The Burbs is also very fun.
Okay,
it's a fun movie. I want to watch The Money Pit again. I would
now
watch.
That I brought it up.
The Man with One Red Shoe. The Man with one red shoe. Is that Tom Hanks? Man with One Red Shoe. That's what I'm gonna say. Not the Man with Two Brains. That's
Steve Martin.
I think it's the Man with One Red Shoe.
I don't know that one.
If it makes me really doubt myself if you don't know it and I'm coming up with a name, because that's highly unlikely.
It is a 1985 film.
Okay, it is a real movie.
It is Tom Hanks.
Great. Fantastic.
A man picked randomly out of a crowd is made the target of CIA surveillance and pursuit.
Mm-hmm.
I have never seen this movie nor even heard of it.
Okay, tune in for Tom Hanks month during where we try to find the movies Tom Hanks would probably hope you're not finding somewhere.
Okay, so Dragnet's on there.
He doesn't talk about Dragnet fondly.
I don't think that's one that he celebrates the way he does maybe some other projects in his catalog.
Big is probably a wholesome movie that he likes, right?
Big is weird. I don't know. I'm not sure how the whole 13-year-old as adult thing
getting into.
I haven't tried to watch that movie in the last decade. I don't know how it plays in the modern era. That said, I do remember it being kind of sweet, if nothing else. It's weird.
It's weird. I'm trying to think of any other Tom Hanks stuff that is kind of unintentionally off the radar, not stuff that, because nobody wants to watch Polar Express. I feel like Tom Hanks probably.
I mean, that one's not his fault, I'll say. It's not really his problem that movie's unwatchable.
Zemeckis? Is that
Zemeckis? It is,
yeah.
Right?
I'm not the only one, but I really, really don't like that movie.
No.
It's incredibly hard to watch.
Very unpleasant in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
I think at this point, if we're talking about stuff of his that has not aged super well, I don't think Forrest Gump is a movie that I ever need to sit down and watch again personally.
Speaking of cultural sensations.
Bachelor Party probably played a lot different in 1984 than it does now.
Sure. I don't remember too much about it aside from the donkey and the cocaine.
Yeah, I remember the donkey, the cocaine, and the terrible Oingo Boingo theme song, and that's most of what I remember. I love Oingo Boingo. It's a bad theme song, though. And I don't think Bonfire of the Vanities was particularly well received.
Okay. Well, gosh, I forgot about that one.
Yeah, most people have. It's not good.
Would you rather do an early Tom Hanks or Rodney Dangerfield? 4 Rodney Dangerfield movies.
I mean, does it have to be an either or?
Yes.
Oh.
Can only...
probably early Tom Hanks, then.
Early Tom Hanks?
I like Dangerfield, don't get me wrong. He deserves respect. But...
Are there 4? I get Back to School.
Back to School, Caddyshack... Ladybugs.
Oh, you've seen Ladybugs?
I think so, isn't he?
Is there Back to School 2?
There was a Caddyshack 2.
There's definitely a Caddyshack 2. I don't know if he's in Caddyshack 2.
I think he might be the only one in Caddyshack 2. No, he's not.
Okay.
let's see here. Okay, Rodney Dangerfield, films.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so he actually hasn't done a ton of film acting.
Yeah.
It's mostly stand-up. But, yes, he was in Ladybugs.
Okay.
We have Caddyshack.
Okay.
We have Back to School.
Okay.
I don't know what Moving is. He has an uncredited one. Oh, that's right. He's the fucking dad in Natural Born Killers. I forgot about that.
Oh, weird. That's a
Yes.
weird. That's a weird.
He's the
movie.
shitty abusive father in that movie.
Okay. Huh.
He's in Little Nicky, apparently.
Okay. That's about it.
Yeah, he's, Mr. Burns' son on The Simpsons.
Wait, he is?
Yeah, I don't know if that character comes back beyond that one episode, but yes, he plays Larry Burns.
Jeez. They're all bangers.
Ladybugs is not very good.
Ladybugs is the kids' soccer?
Yeah, it's a kids' soccer movie where they dress up Jonathan Brandis as a girl so he can play on a girls' team.
Ah, okay. Okay. And he's the coach, I assume?
Yes.
Okay. Careers. Have you seen Back to School, Brad?
I have not.
It's a fun, dumb movie. That's it. That's an okay.
I remember liking it.
Yeah, at the time. But look, I liked a lot of movies as a kid that I probably wouldn't like today, so I don't know.
Listen, most 80s comedy to some degree has aged badly, but I think that, generally speaking, as long as you come into it with the attitude of, look, what I thought was funny when I was, 9 is not the same thing I think is funny in 2023 at 41.
Sure.
I think you can still wring some enjoyment out of a lot of that stuff.
Let's go. Our month of movies that nobody should be watching anymore. Number one, Soul Man.
We both thought of Soul Man out of the gate there.
You think Tootsie holds up?
I don't know.
I wonder.
I think Tootsie maybe holds up. I know that Dustin Hoffman is maybe not as well regarded as he once was. I think he got kind of... At some point, there was some discussion about whether he was kind of an abusive prick on sets. Or not.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I don't know. I don't remember Tootsie being bad. I just, it's Tootsie.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
I think Mrs. Doubtfire is still pretty much the thing it was in 1992 or whatever.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Awakenings.
I don't know about Awakenings. I barely remember Awakenings.
Okay.
Awakenings is also not a comedy.
No, it's not a comedy.
No.
It's, Patch Adams.
Patch Adams is probably fine.
Probably fine.
It's probably as good as it was then.
Probably fine. All right. We're just going to start going down every movie ever made. But
every Robin Williams movie ever made.
Soul Man would definitely have to be on that list.
Soul Man didn't play well when it came out. Even then, they were like, this is not a great idea.
I wonder if Ebert has a review of Soul Man.
He almost assuredly does.
Oh, what is his last paragraph for Soul Man?
Let me look this up. Soul Man.
Yeah. There's nothing he doesn't have a review for from when he was alive.
You think he saw the most movies? Or at least critically
up there.
Was a critic on the most movies? I don't know.
1 star?
1 star for Soul Man? Boy.
I have no idea what Soul Man even is.
Soul Man is a movie about a guy who basically pretends to be black.
Mm-hmm. I forgot why it was
to qualify for a scholarship.
Was it like affirmative action time?
But it was like pre-affirmative action,
it? Okay.
I think.
Yes, but then falls in love. It
kind of killed C. Thomas Howell's career, who is the star of that movie.
That's a role to take for sure,
Yeah. Then there's the matter of the student's deception. Are we all agreed that it is not only a moral but a criminal offense to fraudulently accept that scholarship? And what about Howell's lies to Chong, who believes he is really black? I think you're talking about Radon Chong here. Yeah. At the end of the movie, the big scene has Howell apologizing to Jones, who announces the school will not press charges. That scene is absolutely impossible. He would have been thrown out of Harvard in a second, his reputation ruined. But what's worse is that in a movie filled with useless scenes, there is no scene at all in which Howell and Chong really discuss what he did and why. Howell seems to have wandered in from a teen comedy. There is never a moment where I feel he was really experiencing the feelings in this movie. Not even when he gets to feeling so black that he tosses around a symbolic basketball and confesses he doesn't like the Beach Boys so much anymore. case you were wondering just what the tone of that thing was.
Man.
I've seen Soul Man. Let me tell you, it is not undersold how much of a misfire that thing is.
Do you guys remember, I feel like the punchline for bad movies for a long time was Ishtar? And it was...
Yes.
Yeah.
But
that was like the go-to example of like a big budget disaster.
yeah, like, did you guys ever see Ishtar?
Yes.
No.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've ever seen it. Is it bad?
It's not great, but I honestly think people make way too much of how bad that movie is supposed to be. And, like, that movie totally derailed, I think, Elaine May's directing career, despite the fact that it was just kind of a big budget movie that failed. Like, lots of directors have lots of those, and I don't really know why. Like, I don't know exactly why Ishtar became such a punchline, other than the fact that it was a box office bomb. It's just kind of a not great movie.
Warren Beatty was also strongly behind it.
Maybe it got super promoted and just super sucked.
Yeah.
That's very possible.
I feel like
But it wasn't like the first movie to do that.
for our generation, it was that to me feels like a Waterworld, where it got like such promotion and hype, and it just was like, this kind of sucks.
Now, Waterworld is worth making fun of.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
It's pretty fucking bad.
That's a pretty bad movie. I should see that Avatar Way of the Water. I think that comes to streaming soon.
Yes, it does. Very soon.
I think that Tetris movie is also coming out soon.
Yes, in the next couple of weeks, I think.
Mixed things about that.
Wait, did it go for previews or in like early reviews? It's not out, right?
I think reviews have started coming out.
Okay. Some of the early responses I saw to that Tetris movie were pretty positive. Like that it is a surprisingly funny movie, and that it actually, I mean, I don't know how historically accurate it is, but at the very least, like, there is an energy to it that gets beyond this is literally a marketing guy or, like, sales guy who just happened to find a way to bring this incredibly popular video game to this platform.
I like some of the complaints I saw were stylistic, like it does some real video game movie cliche stuff of, like, turning action sequences into, like, pixel art video game sequences and stuff.
No director will ever be able to truly resist that.
Yeah.
It's no Ishtar, but
no, I mean, what is?
What is really? All right, should we wrap it up?
Yeah, there's really nowhere to go from Ishtar.
That's gonna do it, folks. If you want to see our takes on movies we have watched recently, you can always go catch the Watchcast. Like we mentioned earlier, you got the end of Michelle Yeoh month here on the Watchcast, and we are wrapping up with Everything Everywhere All at Once and moving on into the most critically acclaimed movies of our generation.
The greatest genre there is.
Video game movies. With
Yes.
Mario Brothers movie, Resident Evil, Street Fighter the movie, and what else we have queued up? Mortal Kombat.
I should have set up my Stream Deck to have the Mortal Kombat voice play if I press a button, because then I could just have that. But yes, Mortal Kombat. And we should say we were talking about the original Super Mario Brothers live action film, not the current animated film, which is about to come out, which is why we are doing this month.
Yes.
We'll get to that one eventually, but we'd like to do stuff that is at least available on a home streaming for the podcast.
I think I'm going to probably go see that in the theater. I think that's going to be take the kids to that one.
I don't know if I'm there yet as far as going to the movies for something like that, but I do want to watch it once it is more widely available.
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Alex. Thanks, everybody. And we'll be back with more rambling next week.